Alright, you little gremlins, you win. I watched the new season of The Ultimatum on Netflix. And honestly, I'm kind of horrified. I don't know what I thought ultimatum meant in the confines of a dating show. Like, maybe I thought it was that they had an ultimatum at the end of the show, but no, it starts with one. And while most dating shows are an affront to love and healthy relationships, this kind of seems like the pinnacle. Because this takes 5 existing couples in which one person issues a marriage ultimatum on their partner, resulting in a reality show appearance. And I cannot stress enough that if you have a problem in your existing relationship, a reality show is not the solution. You need to go to therapy.
We went to couples therapy.
Therapist gave up on us.
Oh my god, just burn the whole relationship. Mostly this just depressed me, both from the standpoint of what just exists out there in the universe, and as like, I'm a little bit of a romantic. Also, I don't even know if you can see it, but I had a little nap and I slept in my pillow. And for every one of these people who just felt like they were ready for a lifelong commitment with somebody they loved, someone else who just had like an arbitrary timeline that they felt needed to be matched. It didn't really matter who they got it with. And those were the best case scenarios entering the show, because there's some other people who just had no business being in a relationship. So obviously this was a shit show. The premise alone is a disaster. And I have to assume at least half the people who agreed to do this are in it for the spectacle, or more realistically have outside ventures that they want to promote more covertly, simply by knowing that people are going to start looking up their socials, or they just flat out want to be influencers, and this is a great way to fast track it. So while a lot of people are looking at this and being like, yay, representation, my brain is like, no, not like this. All reality shows are disasters, but even outside the messiness, I just don't like turning genuine human connection into some kind of game that you can win or lose. But before we can dive into the shit show, we have to establish our couples. And for that, Blazer time. Look, if they're gonna treat love like a game, so will I. Lexi and Rae. Lexi has issued an ultimatum on Rae. She's 24 and ready to settle down, get a house, and have kids. But Rae's struggling to figure out what she wants in life and isn't ready to make that till death do us part commitment. Yoly and Mal. Yoly is on a timeline and wants to build a family. And while Mal is ready for forever, she is struggling to know whether or not Yoly specifically loves her or sees her as the means to a timeline end. Mal also wants to make sure she's financially ready to provide, but Yoly's ready now. Mildred and Tiff. Mildred's in her I'm gonna get what I want phase. And what she wants is marriage, but Tiff isn't so sure because, well, they fight all the time and can't communicate for shit. So obviously a reality dating show is the place for you. Xander and Vanessa, tale as old as time, knew each other in high school because their boyfriends were best friends and then reconnected years later and hit it off.
I feel like that we have a connection that I'm never gonna find again.
Yeah, we'll see about that one, champ. They live a beautiful life in Hawaii, and while Xander is ready to settle down and start a family, Vanessa is pretty set on living a life of potential freedom forever.
I don't want permanency and I don't want stability. I want freedom.
And finally, Aussie and Sam. They met on a dating site during the pandemic, and it's been so good that Sam's ready to settle down after a year and a half, but Aussie feels like they should maybe get some more time in living together. Aussie also has a slew of personal issues that should really be dealt with before they can consider long-term commitment, but we'll get into that as we go. And that brings us to our host, who sadly isn't me, Joanna Garcia Swisher of Reba, a straight woman. Very odd choice that's been called out numerous times. Like, you know, if it was Reba, we'd allow it. But why are you here? Did everyone else just say no, that's too messy? Because if so, valid. But now that our couples are established, what is this show doing to solve their ultimatums? Well, they have to break up with their partners, then start dating all the other people that are here for the next week, then pick someone to have a 3-week trial marriage with. And I love that they clarify that they have to break up with their existing partner, because unlike The Bachelor, this is not about forming a polycule, much to the annoyance of some on the show. Then after living with someone else for 3 weeks, they have to switch back to the original partner and do a trial marriage with them, which is just living exactly like you were before the show, and hope that whatever happened over the last 3 weeks saves the relationship instead of causing irreparable damage from jealousy and outside tampering. What could possibly go wrong? And I don't think any of these people genuinely believe that the show was gonna solve or fix their relationship issues regardless of what they say. I feel like most of them, as mentioned, were either using it to market existing ventures or launch social media careers. Which is fine, but I always find it interesting when other contestants start talking about people being here for the wrong reasons, when we know most of you are here to get more eyes on you, and if that works, great. They're using you for entertainment and to make money, and then can edit you in any way they want. That's just going to be out there forever, so if you can make a quick buck in return, Why not? So the first episode's basically going over what I already laid out, but you just really see that like a lot of these people's problems could be solved with couples therapy, or that they shouldn't even be together and need a lot of individualized therapy. Because some of these people are still falling into the like, if we don't fight, it means there's not passion in the relationship, and if we're not doing that, I get antsy.
I love and hate that Mildred is spicy. Who wants to date a boring person?
If she wants to keep this spice in her life, she needs to put a ring on it.
So many times when we break up, or majority of the times you break up with me, not even 2 days later, sometimes 2 hours later, you want to get back.
In the real world, we call that toxic at best and abusive at worst. And like all reality shows, there has to be at least one villain that presents themselves in the first episode, and Vanessa took our early lead. Though I will say that there are other people here who definitely suck ass, who are benefiting from editing or just kind of like holding their shitty qualities in for a handful of episodes. But the issue with Vanessa is that she really doesn't think she has anything to worry about. And I want to say it's because they may have been one of the couples more interested in that extra publicity. And it may not seem like it based on what Xander's saying, but I do know that at one point they were running like some social media influencer travel accounts, which are all now gone and rebranded. I don't know when that happened, but take it for what you will.
I'm actually an Instagram influencer. I like get paid to do content.
I do think Xander's issues with the relationship were genuine, but Vanessa just wasn't concerned.
I cannot picture you with someone else right now, and I can't picture myself with someone else. But like, let's not hold ourselves back. Like, we thought this experience was a good idea. That's why we're here.
Like, I don't see myself with anyone or you with anyone, but if someone wants to smash baby, I really think we should open ourselves up to that experience. Point being, Vanessa and Xander are approaching this with very different energy. Vanessa's seeing this as a chance to replay out some dating days. She's in her element. And while she's playing the field, Xander's pretty focused on her until they meet Lexi.
First thing I noticed about Lexi is that she is
hilarious. But Vanessa is also into Lexi. In fact, she's into Lexi and Rae, you know, the couple that came in together, but ends up blowing things up with Lexi based on how she's talking about Xander in this situation.
Do you feel like there was like an actual chance that Xander could find someone else?
No, I'm beautiful.
So just openly admits it, that she can go around, date and flirt all these different people, explore herself, and just think that Xander won't find anyone better than her. I do think Lexi went a little bit overboard in her reaction towards Vanessa not taking the process seriously.
Trust completely broken. Faith misplaced as hell.
Like, come on, girl, this is reality streaming. But I do like that she got Vanessa to say the very obvious thing out loud. So from here on out, she is Lexi's personal villain, both because of this situation and because now she's just probably definitely going to end up with Rae. Because Lexi is very outspoken, sharing her thoughts about Vanessa with the group, the others that weren't instantly, you know, enamored with her personality are so quick to just jump on that hate train. But now everyone's had a chance to mingle, figure out who they do and don't like. And while it was obvious that Lexi was going to try to talk to Rae into not picking Vanessa because she wasn't taking the process seriously, I was very interested by Vanessa trying to get Xander not to pick Yoly.
I really don't want to talk to you if you went with her.
Kind of realizing your thoughts that Xander won't find someone aren't aging so well.
Tonight was the moment that I realized that I'm not the one for Xander.
You were playing the field, girl. What the hell? Yeah, reality comes at you fucking fast. Like, how is Xander supposed to feel in this situation? Watch you kind of like traipse around all these different people and be like, you're right, Sweeney, there's no one better than you. But she tries to explain it away by saying that like Yoly wasn't nice to her and that's why she doesn't want Xander to pick her. But you know it's because she can tell that Xander's actively interested in Yoly. Which brings us to the trial marriage pairings. So, Xander, who was with Vanessa, is now with Yoly, which Vanessa does not like and Mal is a little concerned about. Rae, who is with Lexi, is now with Vanessa, which Lexi does not like. Mal, who was with Yoly, is now with Lexi. And Mildred, who was with Tiff, is now with Aussie, and Tiff is with Sam. But it was getting rough out there. Tiff actually has a breakdown because they just want Mildred. There's just lots of drama around Vanessa from multiple people now. But Vanessa has also been mouthing fuck off at Xander. Literally Michael Scott. I don't know what was happening here. Xander mentioning some ex that Vanessa isn't aware of. It's messy. But they're off to play happy house. And the weirdest part about this to me is how quickly they all ease into it. Lexi and Mal are like a seasoned couple, very flirty. Mal even talking about how she could see herself leaving this engaged to Lexi, which is wild, all things considered. Yoly and Xander are downright intimate in every sense of the word. Vanessa mostly seems to be playing around, but she's still talking about building a beautiful life with Rae while also just shitting on Lexi any chance she gets. Like, I don't know if the producers are guiding some of these statements for more dramatic effect, but it all feels so abrupt and just kind of of made me feel sad. Especially when the ultimatum givers are just picking up shop with new people like that. Talk about proving your partner's concerns over marriage right. But I do need to address something. This show will just flat out show sex scenes. Like they'll either start shooting some semi-softcore artistic stuff or just using the nighttime bedroom cams to capture under the cover stuff, but then they include sounds. Is it because they're streaming, they can just get away with it so they do it? But it's just so weird and unnecessary. That means like someone's job was literally to just sit there and watch nighttime cams of people like doing it. Why would you ever agree to that? And it's not just Yoly and Xander. We will soon get something that I learned was referred to as Fingergate, which was between Rae and Vanessa. Basically, Rae guides Vanessa's hand to her nether yaya and Fingergate. And Rae ends up feeling so guilty about it that she just calls Lexi the next morning, who was not impressed.
Is there a reason why you Rae?
And she says she's more upset because of who it was. Like this was some huge character flaw on Rae's part, but it's like so interesting because Vanessa and Rae's dynamic is like experimenting college girls. They go get Vanessa's nips pierced and everything.
So we should just have a threesome, honestly, at this point.
And Vanessa just continuously says there was no sexual attraction, like literally just experimentation vibes.
Rae is certainly not my typical type of personality or physicality.
Damn, Vanessa, you don't have to clarify it that hard. Then, of course, everyone just has an issue with it not being out of attraction. It's just madness all over.
You first accidentally had your fingers inside of somebody else?
But it's not all fun and fingers. I'm sorry. Tiff and Sam are having some struggles around letting Tiff's dog sleep on the bed.
I see the lack, with all due respect, the lack of giving a shit about the dog.
And that escalates very quickly to full-on yelling and seems to have more to do with some existing issues within Tiff than it does with Sam. But because of Sam's patient guidance, Tiff learns a new skill, the power of communication. Wild, they should have explored that power with a therapist. But the worst pairing here is easily Mildred and Aussie. They can't communicate at all. Aussie definitely isn't meeting the expectations and promises set out in the dating phase, but Mildred really seems to escalate things, which just does not remotely pan out because Aussie can't handle even the most basic of confrontation. And one antagonistic person paired with an extremely avoidant person does not work and gets toxic.
I feel like you say shit on camera to make me look bad, mate.
What have I said on camera that makes you look bad?
I don't really want to talk about it.
You can't accuse somebody and run away.
I don't want to talk about it. It's fine.
I don't know who it is you dated before, but you messed with the wrong person.
Oh, damn, that battery is wound up. Just therapy. All of them. Now, at this point, it really did seem more Aussie-sided, but as time goes on and the more I learn about Mildred, I have to wonder if there was like some more antagonism that just didn't make it to the final cut or that wasn't caught on camera, especially when Mildred expected Sam to be getting in a bunch of screaming matches with Tiff because that's what their relationship dynamic is, because she seems genuinely upset that Sam's gotten Tiff to communicate properly. And that's why it feels a little hypocritical when Mildred talks about Aussie needing to learn those same skills. Because she's not wrong, but you know, mirror girl. I think one of the biggest takeaways some people need to learn is just because you're speaking doesn't mean you're actually communicating. Now, outside the group marriages and occasional group hangouts to just stir the drama pot, they have these meetups with friends and family who just don't seem to know what the setup of the show is. Like they're always like shocked that this person they know has shown up with like a different partner when some of them would have had to be flown in for the occasion. And I don't know which scenario I prefer, the one where you can tell the friend thinks the person they've been dating is a nightmare, or when they're basically calling them delusional for jeopardizing a solid relationship.
What's happening here?
If you not safe.
This isn't the Get Out movie.
Generally, though, my favorite reaction was from Lexi's dad. Just no reaction, taking it in, hearing that the girl his daughter planned to marry hooked up with someone else, just silent. Until he finds out about the three-way drama swap of Mal and Lexi's partners with Xander and Vanessa.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
He's all of us. But my absolute favorite friend is Tiff's, who just calls out how on and off she and Mildred have been, just a no BS gay guru.
Because if the relationship isn't working, then you should end it, right?
Yes! Thank you, gay guru! But we are getting down to the end of the 3 weeks, and this is where our couples are left off. And of course, a lot of these conversations are happening in a group setting just to really stir that pot. Vanessa and Rae are again like college girls. Vanessa being attacked for not taking the process seriously, but are we really arguing the moral ethics of a dating show? Like, we all know why you're here. But she's had fun with Rae, and Rae feels like Vanessa's helped her with her self-confidence and negative self-talk in a way that Lexi apparently doesn't. Tiff and Sam are going pretty strong, but I think that that is largely because Sam is used to dealing with the ultimate avoider of anything slightly uncomfy, Aussie, and I do think Tiff needs some therapy and a healthier relationship. Lexi and Mal have formed this weird bond where Lexi says that Mal is one of her soulmates, wishing the process won't end, love the dynamic, wants Mal around forever, but then it's just like, all in aggressively on Rae. And even though Mal was talking literal potential engagements with Lexi, she is still all in on Yoly. Yoly and Xander are basically a legitimate couple now. They are intimate in every version of the word, they have compatible life goals, they seem like they've been a couple for ages. Like they are way too swept up in the honeymoon phase of this fake marriage scenario. Literally telling each other they're in love when they were so set on the partners they came with.
Xander has shown in the 3 weeks that we've been together that she can absolutely be that future. I just know that if we were to have a life together, like you would be able to support whatever it is that we want.
Oh, I get it. Then Mildred and Aussie. Oh boy. So Mildred actually seemed to be trying and Aussie just won't. Literally the second Mildred tries to sit down and address any issues, Aussie just leaves.
You just run away from everything.
If that's what you want to believe, that's fine.
That's what you're actually actively doing right now. You're leaving.
Then actually completely leaves, like moves out.
I am taking care of me first. I am not running away.
That is literally what you're doing. I'm sorry, I get prioritizing your mental health, but at some point you have to meet other people in the middle, and if you physically can't handle any conflict, therapy.
Why are you saying these things that aren't true? That I shut you out? That's not true. I was open the whole time.
You literally walked out! I know editing does a lot, and the more I learn about Mildred, the more benefit of the doubt I want to give here, but Aussie just seems to be flat out lying. But with all that drama stirred up, it is time to switch back to the original partners for 3 weeks, and as expected, shit show. Vanessa, who is literally part of Fingergate, is upset that Xander was intimate with Yoly.
Like with mouths. You and I had agreed not to do anything physical when we came in here.
Ma'am, you were traipsing around asking for poly setups and did get intimate. You were all about exploring the scenarios.
I just feel like I'm not being given a fair chance.
Your whole relationship was your fair chance. I get it. It sucks to feel like you won't lose someone and have them flip the second they find someone more aligned with their life goals. But you literally didn't seem to care. Also, you said some weird stuff, like if you and Xander had kids, you'd only consider the ones that came out of you your kids.
Yes, you wanted kids, but it was never with me.
My ex would have her own kids, and then I would have my own kids.
But yeah, I can just feel the desperation.
I love you. Say it back.
You can say it back, Xander.
Oh my god, yikes. It's so messy because I bet a 3-week honeymoon phase based relationship isn't gonna pan out long term either. Even though Yoly is equally as infatuated with Xander, which sucks for Mal, who I really like.
Xander has shown in the 3 weeks that we've been together that she can absolutely be that future.
Do you want me to propose to you first? Like, I don't understand.
Mal just seems blindsided and Yoly's just like throwing out how Xander would be able to provide for whatever they want, but Mal is literally saying that that's what she's been trying to do. Like, is Xander super rich? But all this is literally proving Mal's biggest fear, that she's not any different to Yoly. Because here she is, falling in love with someone new, planning a whole life in 3 weeks. And instead of taking that as her answer, Mal obviously tries to push back, which I get. Doesn't make it suck any less to watch.
I'm really conflicted with the reality of like loving more than one person.
You are in love with Xander?
And obviously, since Fingergate, Lexi's having some issues with Rae. They're completely struggling with intimacy, Lexi's very standoffish, and it's leading to some other issues being brought up.
What does that mean?
You don't listen to me. If it doesn't match up with what you want, it's not enough.
I've never been put first in this relationship. You didn't give me commitment, you gave me a key.
Honestly, I just feel like they're in very different places. So the more Lexi goes hard on the like, we're settling down, getting a house, XYZ, the more Ray's brain just kind of turns into a clusterfuck.
Do I love myself? Do I even deserve to be loved?
So again, couples therapy is what I'd recommend. Definitely not openly fighting in front of Lexi's parents. Oh wait, that's what they do? Okay.
Do you regret the decisions you made because they hurt me, or because you actually think they were mistakes?
And just when all seemed lost, Gay Guru is back, who definitely isn't Mildred's biggest fan, and Mildred doesn't seem to like that she's bringing up Sam. This conversation though, the goods. Mildred and Tiff have massive communication issues, they constantly talk over one another, and we knew they were on and off, but nothing could have prepared me for the response of how many times they've broken up.
I figured it happens like once a week.
Once a week?
Like, maybe once every 2 weeks, so at least 50 breakups.
At least 50 times, they said. How are you breaking up that often as adults? Be serious. Holy shit, that's exhausting. I'm tired even thinking talking about it. I think you've earned a coveted spot on the it's time to stop with the jumbo hat. You've earned it. The gay guru obviously asking the right questions if they really think getting engaged is gonna solve things. Like, why not therapy? But those of you paying attention may remember,
we went to couples therapy. Therapist gave up on us. She fired you.
And they think that's funny. Do you know how fucked something has to be for someone to be like, actually, no, I don't want your money. It's not worth it. And if a therapist didn't help, gay guru definitely isn't, because Mildred is not down for the advice.
The old Mildred would have been like, you know what, Tiff, let's go.
My opinion doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Ooh, you know what? The new Mildred clearly doesn't want to stick around either. Just give me a whole show with gay guru. What's her name? Natasha? We stand Natasha. But the escalation here is absurd. Tiff points out that they both have issues giving the other space to talk. Reasonable, but Mildred's reaction...
So I should just be quiet? When do I have permission to speak?
No, that is not what's being said here. Y'all just don't let the other finish. Then she's trying to say that it's her Latina heritage, that they all talk over each other, but it's like not an excuse when it leads to constant fights in your relationship. And also, you get mad when you're spoken over.
You can stop being an asshole, but I can't stop being a Latina.
Oh my fucking God, she can't be real. Read the hat, Mildred. You know, just because something was inherent to the way that you grew up doesn't give you an excuse to be an asshole. They just need to break up. Nothing's gonna change my opinion here. Now, the most positive change seems to be Sam learning to stand up for herself more, which Aussie isn't necessarily huge on. Literally, Sam barely mentions anything about the trial marriages they had, and Aussie's talking about being ticked off, storming out, crying. I get that the Mildred situation was tough, but Aussie did do a lot of the things Mildred was trying to bring up. So I genuinely believe that Aussie would have had issues with anyone, but Mildred just happened to be the most likely to rise to the occasion. And Sam's finally ticked off at this behavior of Aussie just refusing to speak.
This is the new Sam.
Yes, someone who advocates herself. You have a problem with that?
I put you first.
But you're calling her actual feelings bullshit?
And Aussie's gone again. They bring up a lot of issues they had as a child, and there is clearly a lot of residual trauma there, but Aussie is 41 or 42. It is time to seek professional help, respectfully. We then get what is probably one of the most dramatic episodes outside the reunion, the midway get-together, where obviously the trial couples that worked are trying to talk to each other while their partners are confused and or jealous. Big focal here is obviously Yoly and Xander, like real emotions, holding hands, love professions in front of Mildred.
I feel what you guys are feeling right now.
Mal obviously feeling like a third wheel in her own relationship, which she should because they're basically planning their great escape. Full-on love triangle here with Vanessa just vying in the background for attention.
Everyone's team Yoly. They're like, you need to choose Yoly now. Like, if you're gonna choose her, choose her. I'm like, I came in
what
here
a fucking thing to say when you came in here wanting to marry someone else.
Oh my God, it hurts my head. The switch up from episode 1. I get that Yoly's annoyed that Mal's suddenly all a hell yes, but like you are literally doing the thing that prevented her from being a hell yes before you got here.
If me and Mal were further broken apart, I would marry Xander.
3 weeks. It has been 3 weeks.
You're literally taking the choice away from me. I'm not ready to make a choice.
Even Mal's friend is calling Yoly on her bullshit. That she's just playing with a lot of emotions and trying to get the best of both worlds.
How does 3 weeks measure up to 3 years?
But when Yoly talks about why she thinks Xander's such a good partner option, it is like kind of all about financials.
She also has money aside that would cover any kind of like outside expenses.
You guys have talked that deeply about this.
First time hearing this.
Then Yoly pulls an Aussie and bails. I get that money matters when you want a family, but like blow up a 3-year relationship for a stranger?
Trash.
Complete trash.
It's trash.
If I propose, would you still approve?
Mel, no! Like asking for blessing from Yoly's family and everything. You are forcing a situation I don't think you want. Which brings us to decision day. Who will propose? Who will walk away? Who will make me want to put my head through a wall while wearing my novelty hat? Find out now. Now, I genuinely believe that all these couples should break up, but I'm sure that won't happen. Mal and Yoly are obviously one of the bigger toss-ups, but Mal actually proposes. And Yoly says yes while saying that she still loves Xander. I'm like, maybe just give that little think before you say yes. But I guess that's not the game we're playing here. It's propose or walk. Mal, I get not wanting to lose the person you love, but she has literally proved all of your concerns from the beginning of the show true. And with that, it's time to check in on Xander and Vanessa, which thankfully does end in a breakup. Now, I do think that Vanessa seems a little bit more upset that Xander took the decision away from her. I think she wanted to win, but I also think she realized how much she was taking for granted in the relationship.
I never thought you wouldn't choose me.
But I also worry that Xander's just a little bit too invested in the Yoly train. It also seems like Xander might have lied a little bit in certain parts of this process, but I don't know. I don't know these people. I'm just a fake host. Which brings us back to Yoly and her going full villain arc.
So I told Mal yes, while being in love with somebody else.
She goes to talk to Xander and doesn't wear her engagement ring. Literally so she can hear Xander talk about her feelings without that little detail in the way. Cause Yoly is definitely giving off the vibe that she is ready to commit. In fact, she's kind of saying that out loud.
Feel pretty confident about us?
Yeah.
Too.
Letting Xander go on about how they're gonna tell their families. Yoly, stop this! This is cruel! I am genuinely disgusted right now. You are engaged. This is unfair to Xander, and it's definitely unfair to Mal. When she finally mentions it, Xander's too busy heartbroken to be pissed at how messed up that just was. And Yoly just keeps drawing it out, like they walk away crying, then Yoly calls Xander back, and it's like, just to give her a hug, not to say, I'm gonna fix this? Like, this is so gross. You didn't have to say yes to Mal. Are we allowed drinking while we do? No, I have to wait. Okay, that brings us to Tiff and Mildred. Genuinely the couple I think needed to break up the most because they've done it so many times, but no, Tiff proposes. Genuinely just feels like, well, nothing else is working, might as well get married. And their little romantic back and forth here just feels like, yeah, we're gonna say a lot of words and we're gonna try to sound real deep, but we're not actually gonna be saying anything.
A lot of the things, a lot of the questions that I had, all of those answers that I didn't have before, they now make sense.
Like a perfect blend, such as the coffee that you make me in the morning.
Actually, I think that happens a lot in this show. My brain just kind of glosses over. Oh, I'm sorry, am I just supposed to be a host? No. Okay. Lexi and Rae also feel like they potentially should have broken up because Rae really doesn't seem like she's ready for marriage and Lexi does not seem to be able to get over Fingergate.
You first accidentally had your fingers inside of somebody else.
But no, Rae proposes and Lexi proposes back, which is kind of cute. Maybe these two kids will make it. And finally, Aussie and Sam, who I genuinely believed were gonna break up either because Aussie felt backed into a corner or Sam realized she was worth more, but no, Sam says yes. I can't, like, do they offer these people therapists before they make decisions? Married at First Sight has therapists and counselors. And I really thought we were getting the shutdown here at first. Aussie did a whole Pebble in the Penguin romance thing and Sam's reaction was not great.
So I choose you.
But nope, it's a fucking yes. It's a really good thing I'm not actually the host of this show because I would be intervening constantly. I'd be popping out of the bushes like, are you sure you've thought about the long-term implications of these decisions? Back to sitting. Hated this episode. It truly just felt like, hey, everything that we just watched, forget about it. Though I will say, very interesting that the most confident person going into this is the most single. But every dating show worth its salt needs a reunion episode. How many of these relationships actually panned out since they originally filmed? And yeah, it's not many. Lexi and Rae seem to be going strong, got big plans for kids and splitting time on the East and West Coast. Xander and Vanessa still aren't together and currently more upset about losing a friend, which I actually resonate with quite hard. Mal and Yoly did not make it. Shocker there. Apparently things fell apart very fast, though not as fast as Yoly seems to be suggesting. Yoly's trying to say that Mal went back into all these old bad habits and they were done within 2 weeks, but I guess the reason that Mal felt so blindsided by the Xander thing was that while Yoly and Xander were going full commitment in the trial marriage, she was messaging Mal to say that she didn't have anything to worry about.
Your history of being honest doesn't track. So it wasn't 2 weeks after being back.
I just love Vanessa's reaction to Yoly getting called out, then the quick composure. Like, I don't know any of these people personally. I don't know what the dynamics were outside the show, and I don't know how it was edited, but, you know, with what I have, Mal deserves better.
You inadvertently showed everybody on TV how great of a partner I am.
And then Vanessa, giddy as can be, dropping the bomb that Yoly and Xander did try to date outside the show.
We stayed in communication some, and we saw each other while we were at Coachella.
Not Coachella. Yoly also tried to dodge that she'd been making plans to go visit Xander in Hawaii, and then Xander actually comes clean on that. Now, obviously, they didn't end up working out. I think Xander might have had an oh shit, blew up my life, probably shouldn't dive into another massive commitment. Also, it would have involved someone massively relocating because Xander's in Hawaii. But the real blow up, as unfortunately expected, was Tiff and Mildred, to the point that Mildred actually got arrested for throwing things at Tiff. And they really just glossed over that. Like, Mildred almost brings it up like she's trying to control the narrative before Tiff can bring it up, even though Tiff wasn't in the process of trying to bring it up. But like, you just casually admitted to domestic violence and then tried to make it seem like it was Tiff's fault for calling the cops. But I guess that whole situation was just a mess. I don't know if I mentioned it, but Mildred has a son who's special needs, which honestly made me question why she's on this show in the first place. Like, he is 16, but still. But I guess that like Tiff was having issues connecting with Mildred's kid, even though they had already been dating beforehand. But none of that remotely matches up to what Mildred did in the way she's just going in on Tiff. Like, started getting mad that Tiff was on dating apps after they broke up because it was disrespectful to her.
That's what I care about. Mildred. The betrayal.
To the point that Tiff just leaves and doesn't come back. Now, thankfully, most people were on Tiff's side after that was revealed. Not Yoly, though. Has the audacity to get pissed at Vanessa for offering actual evidence, but then gets involved in a situation she wasn't even a part of. But of course, Aussie chooses now to chime in.
Tiff saying the word gaslighting just brought back a lot of my experience with Mildred.
Aussie, you flat out told people things that were clearly happening weren't happening. Just so messy. Like, you can't say that you were open to conversation, but then the second a conversation starts, you just leave. Honestly, I would have cut Mildred off from continuing her side once Tiff wasn't there to defend herself. Which brings me to the biggest surprise of Aussie and Sam actually working out. They're saying that they found a way to compromise and that Aussie doesn't run away for as long as usual, and Sam just kind of has to be okay with it. And I do get the point of sometimes people need to like stop and regroup, but I'm hoping that there's just like less anger there too. And I'm pretty sure according to social media, they are still together. So hopefully they're working. So in the end, Lexi and Rae and Aussie and Sam are the last ones standing until the show cuts to black and brings up a screen saying that Lexi and Rae aren't together anymore. I fucking lost it, like out loud laughter, because this was like right after they asked the question, like, do you think that this like helped your relationships? But yeah, not super surprised, though I guess if you have the descriptive audio on, it says that it was because Lexi suspected Rae of being unfaithful. Like, who fucking knows? Quite messy. That didn't come up in the little Netflix post thing that they did. I know that Rae's been making social media jokes about being drug on this show, while most other people were definitely using the momentum to launch social careers and market cameo options. And their socials are rapidly growing now that the show is over. I know a lot of people wait to look at social medias until after a dating show is done because you can kind of get some hints as to what's going on early. I think Rae went up like 10K in a day. Vanessa went from like 12K the first time I checked the account to 23K. So working out pretty decently, it seems. Also, you might notice that Lexi has a huge following, and it's because apparently sometime after the filming but before the show aired, she started like an OnlyFans account. So she was like kind of really big online as this show was going into it. So I don't know if that was always her plan, but if it was always her plan, I think it's really interesting that she had the biggest issue with like the sanctity of being on the show. But I can also see, you know, filming the show and someone being like, you should start an OnlyFans, and then it just panning out that way. Okay, Tiff has since shared their side of the story, but then started promoting a domestic survivor support group, but they're charging $40 for it while self-admittedly having no qualifications to run something like this. Feels kind of like charging money for AA. Don't love that. But yeah, that is this season of The Ultimatum. I hate it. Like, I genuinely hate it. I do like watching a lot of dating shows for different reasons. I have a lot of fun, even though I am horrified by MILF Men. I've watched some Bachelor and Bachelorette, some Married at First Sights, which is also just a horrible idea, but something about this, it just makes me so sad and dead inside. But I hope you had fun watching. So let me know what you guys are thinking down below. Thank you all so much for watching. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a like on the video if you're into that kind of thing. And all my social medias are down below if you want to help me blow up as if I was on a reality show, which I am not. But I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, and we'll catch you all later.